Good afternoon, Afro friends and family. Welcome to another edition of Afro News at Noonish. We have a lot of updates for you this week, so let's get into the topics. My name is Alexis Taylor, your news editor, and we're going to be running down everything that you'll see in the paper and online at afro.com this week. All right, so we will first start off with Dr. K. So I know everyone who lives in Baltimore City just loves that time of year when they block off all the streets and you can't really drive anywhere. That's because we have some really brave Baltimoreans who are out there running a marathon. Dr. K was one of those women representing. I was wondering if we would be able to speak with an African American who participated. So thank you so much. Dr. K, what was your experience?
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm always laughing when people talk about the streets being blocked off every year. I think about what Mayor Brandon Scott said. It's every single year. People forget it's coming. It comes. They get angry. They get blocked in traffic. I had a lot of people send me a couple of nasty messages. I'm like, why were you out? You just block the whole day and stay home. But I've been training with my coach, Chauncey Whitehead, who's very well known in the Baltimore City area. He trains out of Mission Fit, and he has trained people for the marathon probably for the last 20 marathons. So he has a long and extensive history of doing it. I started working out with him last year, and I talk a bit about this in my article about how I used to take my sons to train with Coach Chauncey. And I would take my youngest son to train with him at 5 a.m. in the morning. And they would train, and I would sit in the office, in Chauncey's office, and I would sleep. It's 5 a.m. in the morning. Or I would watch Netflix. So I would bring breakfast and I would eat. And Coach always said to me, when are you going to come out here and work out? And I always say, well, I'm not here for me. I'm here for my son. You know how, as mothers, we are here for our children. But I told Chauncey, I said, when my youngest goes to college, then I'm going to come and work out. Then it'll be my time to prioritize myself. I shouldn't have waited so long, but I decided to wait until the youngest got to college. And so I started working out with him last September. I dropped my son off, and the very next week I was in the gym. I was about 35 to 40 pounds heavier. And I started working with Chauncey twice a week, and then it moved to 3 times a week, and walking with Chauncey's Angels and Champions on Sundays. And then Chauncey began challenging me because I'm very goal oriented. I need something to work toward, not just kind of this, hazy, just want to get in shape, tell me what I'm working toward, and it helps me to work harder. So this summer, he challenged me to run the dreaded Druid Hills, the 10K through Druid Hills, and it was really challenging to do 6.1 miles through the dreaded Druid Hills, but I was able to run the whole thing. And we were able to keep a pace of 11 30-minute miles. And Chauncey said, I think you got something in you as a runner, and maybe we should go to the next challenge. And the next challenge wasn't the Baltimore Marathon, because my coach doesn't keep things that simple. Our challenge was what they call the Baltimorean, which is 2 races in one day. So on Saturday, I did both the 5K at 7:30 a.m. I waited a couple of hours, and we did the half marathon at 9:45 a.m. And as a result, you get 2 shirts and 3 medals, because it's a moron if you're going to do 2 races in one day. And so we got through them, and it was exciting and challenging. And I ran faster than I've ever run in my life before. But I think that's a metaphor for life, right? That the only one you're chasing is yourself. And so it's how fast can you outrun the person you used to be to run quickly towards the person who you want to be.
Absolutely, Dr. K. Thank you for that insight, and congratulations on finishing. I can only imagine that is a boost that you met that goal. So what are you reaching for now? What's the next goal?
I was reading this poem. Dr. Freeman Rabowski, who used to be the president of UMBC, always talks about this poem that says, oh, that may a man's grasp exceed a man's reach. Mm-hmm. The idea that the next thing you're reaching for should be slightly out of your grasp, where you have to jump to touch it. And so what my coach is setting for me is, what are the next goals? So we're going to run the turkey trot on Thanksgiving Day, but the goal is to run 9 30-minute miles to see if we can shave off 2 minutes and run it for time. So my sons will be home then, and so my whole family. I have a family of athletes. My husband's an athlete. He runs an 8:28. My oldest son is a D3 baseball player. He runs an 8. My youngest son is a D1 fencer. He runs a 7:30. And the times I'm listing is how fast they run a mile. So I'm going to try to run at 9:30, but we're all going to get out there on Turkey Trot Day as a family and see how we can blow through the 5K. It's nice not to be on the side this year, to be with them.
I love it. Family goals. Thank you so much, Dr. K. And this is such an inspiration to anyone who is watching from the windows or watching from the stoops. Y'all can get out there too. You can join Dr. K next year. You'll be back next year.
I'm enjoying it. Start off walking and then make your way up. I just think that it just takes time. I think so often, and I put this in my article, so often we refuse to give ourselves the grace and mercy that we extend to others.
Right.
That we're quick to extend it. I know for me as a parent, I always give grace to my children. I'm always very patient. I'm always giving a lot of mercy. I don't give that to myself. It's like, why am I not thinner? Why am I not faster? Running has taught me how to extend the grace and mercy to myself, that you might be a little bit faster tomorrow, or you might be a little bit slower. It's okay. There's another run coming after that. What's the next goal? And then you try to reach that.
All right. I cannot wait to read this article. Make sure that you all check out Dr. K. And you also submitted some amazing pictures of you running this race. So yes, check out that coverage. Let's throw it to Miss Megan Sales. What's happening in the business world this week?
Yeah, so there should be a story on afro.com right now that's about this new platform. It's called the Community for Entrepreneurs Engaged in Development, or SEED, as they call it. But basically, it's a digital platform that is backed by artificial intelligence, and it's trying to connect Black entrepreneurs to the resources they need to grow, scale, and just succeed in the cannabis industry. It was created by a husband and wife team. Their names are Trayvon Dorsey and Mercedes Teasley Dorsey. And basically, they kind of founded this platform after they themselves tried to apply for a license from the Maryland Medical Cannabis Commission, and they ended up being denied. And this was just after the commission had kind of been having this effort towards equity, because they realized so many owners in the cannabis community and in the industry were not Black, although Black people suffered the most from the war on marijuana and the war on drugs. So they kind of just realized how many barriers to entry there were in the industry, and they created this platform to kind of help Black entrepreneurs form successful cannabis and cannabis adjacent businesses. The facts are kind of right now that at the end of the year, the cannabis industry is going to reach $32 billion in sales. That's a lot of money. And right now, only 2% of the owners in the industry are Black. By 2030, the cannabis industry is expected to reach $100 billion, which is even more. So we need to make sure that we're kind of giving our fair share of the industry. And SEED is just kind of based on transparency. So it rewards other business owners for sharing how they kind of source their products or their solutions. And they've also actually launched an NFT collection, which NFTs are non-fungible tokens, if you're into the crypto world. And they've launched this collection, though, basically as a means to crowdfund and raise money for the platform. And so that SEED users can kind of buy into and have ownership in SEED as well. And those people that buy those NFTs get some special access to private classes with other cannabis brands. And they also get some access to community projects that SEED might lead in the community. But basically, they're just trying to make sure that industry ends up equitable, because if it's going to be worth $100 billion by 2030, we got to make sure that Black people have a piece of that money.
Absolutely. Thank you, Megan. And I'll jump in here and say thank you to everyone who watched the Maryland Public Television debate last week, because this was an issue that we raised as a member of the panel, just equity in this industry. And I know people hear these numbers and they think, that's wild. But here in Maryland alone last year, we had 600 million in profit from legal marijuana. And it's like 600 million. Yes, 600 million. When you look at the report from the state regulators, it's, 46 million this month, 40 million this month, 40 million the next month. And it all adds up to $600 million spent just last year. Black entrepreneurs should absolutely be a part of this industry. And it's only right. You can't be hardest on a specific community for enforcement, make it legal, and then not come back to that community and give them the first opportunities in this industry, or at least make it equitable. So thank you so much, Megan. That is a on-time story. And if you did not get a chance to look at the debate, we did have the Maryland Democratic and Republican nominee weigh in on equity in this industry. So definitely check it out on Maryland Public Television. All right, Dr. Bailey, what is happening in DC?
Okay, just a couple brief things. Number one, today, the Alzheimer's Foundation of DC is sponsoring a seminar for caregivers. It's the first of several activities that they'll be sponsoring this fall. That article should be up online. Second, this week in our print edition, one of our veteran reporters, Michelle Richardson, is investigating what's going on with Metro. Metro has had several problems during the pandemic, and one of them was a decrease in fare revenue. And that still have not compensated for the decreased ridership. So one of the things they're doing is to start cracking down on people that sort of go around the turnstiles, as many people have done over the course of the last 2 years. And they have issued at first warnings, but now they're going to start issuing fines for people who evade fares. The city council is trying to work on legislation for DC riders and DC residents who regularly use the Metro to get $100 a month in compensation, because we realize the Metro is really expensive if that's your transportation every day. And third, I just wanted to let folks know the National Endowment for the Humanities has gotten into reparations. This summer reparations legislation stalled on Capitol Hill. We're looking to find out what's going on with reparations legislation, but the National Endowment for the Humanities is going to be having a lecture on the question of reparations tomorrow. I'll be listening to that tomorrow night to find out how the general public is now being brought into the reparations discussion, and providing a report on that will either be online or in next week's paper.
Thank you, Dr. Bailey. That was another topic that was addressed in the debate last week by our Democratic and Republican nominees for governor. So thank you again, another timely story. And these are issues that really do need to be highlighted. It is 2022. We won't get into how many people have received reparations in some form, one way or another. And it's just time. It's time for African Americans in this country to reap the benefits of all of the labor that they have put into building this society and building this country. So that's very needed. Thank you, Dr. Bailey. And we'll be checking in on that. I know that we have elected officials in Maryland who have been championing this cause and trying to get more steam behind it. So we'll definitely be following your reporting on that. All right, and Miss Tashi McQueen. So tell us what is going on in politics. I know today is the deadline to register. Please make sure that you know that you are registered. Know that you know that you know that you're registered. I know, Rev. I stole that from the church. Yes, I did. Know that you're saved. Know that you're registered too. Okay. So, check your address, check your status, and it's not too late. We have Black Girls Vote here in Maryland doing a lot of work, and not just here in Maryland. They are encouraging people know your status as far as registration, but also become an election judge. If you're able to be an election judge, you should absolutely be at the station helping other voters if you can. I love the election judges here in Baltimore. It's always a nice old Black lady showing you which line you can get in or making sure that you're straight with your voting process. So it would be wonderful to see some younger people out, just helping them do that important work. So make sure that you are registered. You can register at the polls on November 8th, but we would much rather you do it ahead of time and take advantage of early voting. And early voting is coming up here in Maryland. It's going to run from October 27th to Thursday, November 3rd from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So if you can vote early, make sure you do. And Ms. Tashi, can you tell us what else is happening in the political world?
Yeah, so we'll have two stories this week I'm going to outline here. Of course, we'll have a little bit more than that, but so Social Security benefits have been increased for users and qualifiers by 8.7%. And this will go into effect in January 2023. and it will be an approximate $140 increase per month per paycheck. So that's, that's notable, and it's sources have said that this is one of the largest actually increases. And also I spoke with Qualified Stores, a broker, and she said this is a good opportunity and it is helpful, but it is only but so helpful for one. And the concern of the hike could also leave some benefiters out. It might end up kicking some of them out of the Medicare and Medicaid programs, actually. And yeah, also a lot of people took to social media and we're talking about the increase and how it matches with the inflation and how it actually might not be doing much. So those are concerns that we will also have outlined in an article this week. And also the famous and longtime community activist Larry Young will be hosting his retirement dinner and 25 years of radio career celebration on October 27th. And the AFRO will be there. But ahead of that, we wanted to give a commemorating profile. So we spoke with him and a couple of his colleagues and mentees. And so, yeah, so we'll have that for you guys, like a little in-depth and commemorating profile of his work, his notable and touching work in the community. And also Dr. Kathy Hughes and Reverend Al Sharpton will be the speakers at the event. So yeah, that's exciting to look forward to, and we will have a report on that.
All right, thank you, Tashi. And Nadia, Rev, do y'all want to add anything before we slide out?
You can go first, Nadia.
I just want to touch on what is happening in Baltimore this week. I know that we have one of the issues that we have on the ballot is question K, which talks about the term limits. So definitely keep an eye out on that question when you're voting. And also recently, Senator Antonio Hayes has helped to get one of the most important organizations, which is the West Baltimore Rich Collaborative, reducing isolation and inequities in cardiovascular health, $2.4 million to help bring awareness to health inequities in West Baltimore and surrounding areas.
That's cool. That's cool. Megan gave me the lead in for my little short piece. She said, oh yeah, there should be a piece on afro.com today. So my lead in is, yeah, there should be a piece on afro.com about what's going on in Park Heights. There should be a piece about what's going on in PG, a piece about what's going on in East Baltimore. And we can't write all those pieces because we don't have enough hands. So we are inviting you to send us your news. Send us a story about what happened down the street. Send us a story about somebody who's helping a family. Send us a story about some fun that you had in your neighborhood. Write it yourself. Send us the core of the story. And all you have to do is email it to us at editor, editor, at afro.com. And in the subject line, put good news or Park Heights news or district news or whatever. And we're going to be looking for it because our goal is to tell every piece of good news that we can tell. And we just need you to be a part of that process. So come on board. You can write it too.
All right, and that is an excellent way to close out. Thank you, Reverend Boulware. Thank you, editorial team, and thank you to all of our viewers and our readership. You all keep us going week to week, month to month, year to year in this 130th year of operation. So thank you so much for tuning in, and make sure that you check out your Afro this week.
See you guys later.
Bye.